Good morning, everyone. It is Lachelle, America's Supermom, with our next segment on Who Moved My Cheese. All right, so we are diving right into this topic again. I am sorry about this recording, but for some reason I was having challenges with the internet streaming live through the Facebook group. So, plan B is always be prepared with something in your hat because you never know when it comes to technology or somebody moving your internet. How about that? Or your access into a group. So, I think it's kind of appropriate for what we're talking about now with who moves my cheese. So, we're feeling like things are changing outside of our control, and who is really at fault, right? This is some of the questions that we dive into in this topic. So, just a little recap. I am also known as America's Supermom, mother of 15. I'm a lifestyle designer and also a podcast host. So, if you would like to dive into some of these topics or tell me some of your key takeaways, I would love to have you on my podcast to give you a little more exposure. We are a global networking group, so it is very fitting for you to have a platform that you could share with people from all different areas. Um, so that's a little bit about me. Also struggled with depression for 13 years, was hospitalized. And so now I am a lifestyle designer to help women empower themselves and overcome limiting beliefs and transform their mindset. So I do that through a strategy that I created during, after my last hospitalization, and I do that through one on one coaching, group coaching, master classes, yada, yada, yada. Um, Also, doing a lot of classes for moms who are dealing with the challenges of working from home and homeschooling. As of right now, I have 8 of our 15 children doing remote learning and trying to do it with a smile. All right. So, diving into our topic, last time we spoke about, cheese making us happy. Is that really a mantra for us? Do we feel that it's true for us? So, as we go through this book that I thought we would finish in a couple of sessions, we are just like on page 30 something because there's so many nuggets that I think are important to highlight when it comes to reading some of these takeaways. So I'm really a deep thinker. There is a video that I did a live session with our first sponsor, Tanisha Lewis, who is a Send Out Cards affiliate. So I encourage you to reach out to her, just have a coaching call, find out what she's talking about with Send Out Cards. Increase our group numbers. So if you love this book, you like what's being said, invite people to join the book club. This is a good opportunity for us to grow professionally and personally. So those are a couple things with that. I encourage you to also look at the live session because we really dive into some of the questions and we answer them just from my perspective as well as the sponsors. So that is something that could benefit you as well. And then I added a few marketing tips at the end. All right. So what we covered last time was um, what is our source of nourishment and happiness? In this case, the nourishment and happiness was coming from the cheese. Okay. So, is this something that's true for you? Right. Is it possible to have that success and nourishment if you're on the same maze as everyone else? Right. So, these are some of the questions we want to ask ourselves. If you want something different, should we be considering creating it for ourselves? I thought this was really key because, we're all in the same maze and we see that the mice are looking for the cheese, the little people are looking for the cheese, but the little people are looking for the cheese with the capital C, right? So they want something better and different so they feel there's a differentiation and the cheese that they want. So as we look at that, Are we actually creating something different, or are we attaching a different value to the same thing? So I think this is key, because if I say, I'm hungry, I want to eat. And so I go in there and go in the kitchen and get something that gives me nourishment. I am appealing to that hunger. But if I say I'm hungry and I want to have capital F food, that's something different. That's me saying, maybe I'm not going to get that in the kitchen. I want to go to a five-star restaurant and I want to get a steak, or I want to have lobster, or, some gourmet meal, because I want capital F food, right? So we need to distinguish, is, the cheese that we're looking for the same? Are we differentiating it based on our values? So am I valuing food more if I feel that it's more expensive, or, it's not as easily accessible to other people? Or should I just be concerned of getting the nourishment? Okay, so that's something to consider. Another point is, even though they wanted different things, they had the same routine, right? So if you are aspiring something different, so we have the mice that are going through the maze, and we have the little people that are going through the maze. The little people want the cheese with the capital C, but their routine is the same as the ones who want regular cheese. So I ask you the question: where in your own professional or personal life are you wanting something different, but you're doing the same thing that other people that don't want what you want are doing? Okay, so I hope that's not a confusing question. So if you want something, let's say that I want to go to Hawaii. That's one of the things that I had aspired to for my 50th birthday, which is just in a few months in December. But if I aspire to go to Hawaii, now I want to go to Hawaii with 13 of our 15 children, and my husband. So am I going to have that same plan and saving routine as somebody who has a husband and wife who just want to go to Hawaii, in the same amount of time? So it has been a year ago that we made this plan. Now we have this pandemic, which, it's going to be delayed, but not denied, right? So if I have a savings routine, is my saving routine going to net me the same if I'm saving as a family of two? If I want 15 of us to go to Hawaii. So I want you to kind of think about that. So, where in our own lives are we wanting something different than our counterparts or people that we're hanging out with, or whatever the case is? But we're doing the same thing they're doing, but we're expecting a greater outcome. So, this is a key thing for us to consider, because they had the same routine. They went through the maze the same way, had the same supplies, or whatever the case was, which was their jogging outfits and their tennis shoes, right? So, asking ourselves, is that really kind of insanity right there? Right? Because, we really want to consider, are we doing anything different? We want something different, but are we doing anything different to get there? Right? Because it just doesn't happen through, oh, I have a good idea. I really want to do something different. I really feel that it's in the cards for me to have whatever, but you're doing what everybody else is doing. Right? So if you want to get that A plus, you're studying like a C student, right? And expecting to get an A plus. Okay, I don't think that makes sense. All right. So as a result, I wish I had numbered these. Okay. Um, we're going to talk about, there was a pattern. So the pattern was the same route, same routine. It was a lack of motivation, of change, or anything, because they became comfortable. So as the story goes on, the mice continue doing the same thing, getting up, being proactive, tying their shoes around their neck, and, They were very conscious of some changes that were taking place. Whereas the little people, they got up later. They just assumed the cheese was going to be there. It was what they wanted. It was going to work out, right? Because they were in this comfort zone. So they were happy, uh, felt successful, secure. So they just feel like, life is good. I have all this stuff that I want. And um, it just made them feel secure that they really could recognize that that cheese was going to be provided for them. So they felt like, I really don't have to do anything special. Everything is going to work out. Where am I? Why do I need to get up? I can just enjoy life. It's just always going to be there. So as a result, they became overconfident. Okay, they became overconfident about some cheese that they didn't even provide for themselves. They felt secure. They felt happy. All these emotions were tied to something that was not in their control, right? So I hope that you guys are seeing this because they didn't consciously go make the cheese. They didn't plant seeds for cheese. They didn't do anything. They were just in this maze and they didn't even know how much it would be there, what kind or whatever. So they just really were allowing a lot of external controls to dictate their happiness and security. All right. So we ask ourselves, what areas in our personal or professional life are we overconfident in, or are we attaching some worth and value when really it's not in our control, right? So if I am really excited because I have cable, right? So cable is there. I can watch any show that I want to watch that's on the cable network. And, life is good. I pay my cable bill and, I'm really happy. And then power outage or something gets messed up with the cable company, right? And there is some reason that they're not able to send those transmissions or whatever to my particular home. And I don't have cable. And I'm not just out of cable for an hour, 2 hours, but it's like 3 days, right? Or you could say the same thing with the internet. Here I am. I'm trying to get on Vteam, right? Go through Facebook Live, and for some reason I can't get through there. So, I'm really dependent on the internet. Well, what happens? We have internet issues. So, is that going to stop my um, responsibility that I feel that I've signed up for? Is that just a pass for me to say, hey, it didn't work out? Is that really in my control? What things can I control? Right. So we go to plan B, right? I still have the internet. So I make a video through Zoom, record it, upload it, and there I am, still accomplishing the same mission. Now, is it the way that I originally planned for it to happen? No, but it is something that I've done as a result of outside challenges that are outside of my control. I'm not the most technical at all right. So if any challenge comes with technology, it's like, okay, you're in trouble because I just don't have the mind to think, okay, what do I do about this? Or, is my whatever to connected? Do I need to get to the server and all that kind of stuff? I mean, that's like foreign language. So I do the things that I can with the resources I have and move on, right? So that's what's important. But what areas are you overconfident in? That's really kind of stopping you from really recognizing that, yeah, you're overconfident in this area, but how much in this area is really in your control? Think about this when it comes to your business, with your clients, with your follow up system, with your sales system, with your manufacturers or vendors or products. Where are you overconfident about some things that are not in your control? So, this is something that we can learn from because I believe when you're reading a book, you're looking at it, an analogy, parable, these type of situations, which are what is going on in this book. How does that relate to what I'm doing in my life? Why am I spending this time reading this particular book? What value am I going to get out of it? What can I learn? What can I share? How can I give to others? How can I improve myself through this story, fable, made up, whatever, right? How can I uh, make something similar in my own life? So you may not be an author of Who Moved Your Cheese, but what is your voice? What is something that you could share with your industry? What can you share with your coworkers? What can you share with your family? What can you share with your friends, right? So we want to always be thinking about self-development. When we read books like this, it's not just to be a conversation piece, been there, done that, right? So I was a marketing major, school of business, read a lot of books. But, you want to always constantly evolve. Imagine where we would be if we never evolved to internet and we have something now which is plaguing the whole world with this global pandemic. Where would we be? Life literally has come to a standstill for many of us, and it would stay there if we didn't have the internet, ways to connect, globally, digitally, right? From the comfort of your own home. So we have to think about evolving, getting better, sharpening our skills. And it comes from asking deeper questions when it comes to doing something mundane, routine, such as reading a book on self-development. All right. So what happened was this overconfidence that they had, it grew into arrogance, right? About their success. So they felt comfortable, which caused them to be distracted, which was about what was really happening around them. Okay. So what was actually going on was this cheese daily, there were smaller and smaller amounts of this cheese that was actually at this maze location that they had found it at. So daily it was going down, dwindling, and they weren't even conscious of it because they were so busy um, doing what they always were doing and just being in their comfort zone and confident about it. Whereas the two mice, as we see in the story, they would arrive early, inspect for changes, and then eat the cheese. So they would get there early, see if anything has changed, do a little reflection, and then they would go into eating. All right. So we think about it. So they also tied their shoes around their necks so they could be ready in the event they had to move and transition to something else. So they were already approaching every day with the intention of thinking about change, right? Thinking about newness, thinking about, no comfort zone. So even though they were doing something familiar, they were not responding in a way that they were comfortable. They had habits that they arrived early, inspected for change, and then began to eat their cheese. So in this situation, I see it's like you got to do your homework first, right? So if you know that you're hungry, you know that you're going to fulfill that need for yourself. Do your hard things first. Make it a habit and a routine so that when you do eat, you really can enjoy yourself, right? So this would equate to things in your business, right? So if you're comfortable doing whatever skill you do, let's say if you're a coach, okay? So coaching is your bread and butter, right? So how can we apply coaching to this example when we talk about the mice arriving early, inspecting for change, and then eating their cheese? So if you're a coach, how can you show up early? What are some things that you could do? Right? So even though you're a coach, you have appointments, right? Arriving early before those appointments. So arriving early is doing the work for yourself before you dive into your vocation. So when you're arriving early and inspecting for change, you're doing the things that matter for your business before you begin doing your business. Okay. So you're arriving early. In my case, this is self care for me, right? So I'm arriving early. I'm taking care of self care of myself, doing the things that matter for me, inspecting for change. So I'm looking through my email or sometimes my a calendar, seeing if anything changed, right? Looking at my appointments. Did anybody schedule anything? Do I need to change anything around? Things like that. Inspecting to see if anything is different. What's going on in my industry? I have Google Alerts. So if you guys don't know what that is, you might want to consider if you have a certain industry, let's say coaching, there's topics that you cover. Maybe it's mindfulness, meditation, um, networking. Maybe it's setting boundaries, all these different things. You could do a Google alert on that topic, and every morning, those type of messages or emails can be in your box with things related to anything about boundaries on the internet. Google will search for you and have it ready for you in the morning. So if you have certain topics where you need a VA for, and maybe you can't afford that VA. Well, you get Google to be your VA and let them, if it's you want to be a guest on a podcast and you want certain topics that you want to cover, or certain podcasts that you want to be a guest on, have Google alert you for any change, any information about that, and daily it will be in your mailbox for whatever time that you decide that you want it there, right? So mine is usually like 6 o'clock a.m. First thing, I get all my Google alerts, see what's going on in my industry. How do I need to pivot, change, or anything for the day? What do I need to bring up that's relevant, right, for my industry? So we're doing these things early, right? Looking into them. Then we're starting our day. We're starting our day with a place of refueling, being in the know. How many times do you like get up, get with your clients first thing in the morning, and then you find out some news or something that's going on in your industry later on after you've already talked to someone? And that might make things different for whatever coaching session you had. You could be telling somebody, hey, it's so important to position yourself in the industry with commercials, and boom, something's changing. People are getting rid of commercials because now people are on Zoom. So maybe there's a new platform of Zoom commercials. I don't know. I'm just kind of putting that out there, right? Because people aren't on TV. They're not on certain uh, places where they used to be. So now the marketing is changing. But you didn't know that because you're not staying abreast of what's going on. You're into this routine. Oh, we're on Zoom again. What happens if Zoom is not available, or something else? You have to be thinking about what's going on, what's new, what's hot, what is everything pivoting into, right? How are we making it more convenient? Different things like that. All right. So they weren't surprised when there was no cheese. They took off their running shoes around their neck, laced up. They didn't overanalyze. They just said, hey, okay, there's no more cheese. We're out of here. Let's go and find a place where there is one. All right. So this is where we're going to stop today. So the question that I want to ask you is, what areas are you overconfident in that really are outside of your control? So, yeah, they may be habits, things that happen all the time, but they're outside of your control. If anyone came and pulled the rug up, where would you be in relation to this thing that you're overconfident about? How has that changed you? Are you being arrogant about some things that are outside of your control? You know, Ask yourself that question professionally or personally. What are some areas that you can see and identify that you might be a little overconfident in? You know, this is arrogance, overconfidence over something that's outside of your control, right? Where are you comfortable and distracted, right? What are some things that you're doing the same all the time and you're not mindful of what changes could be happening because you're comfortable, right? Where are you comfortable? And then the last thing is, how can you adapt these principles that the mice had into your daily routine? Where can you arrive early, inspect for change, and then go into your skill? This could be the same thing with your family, with your relationship with your spouse, with your relationship with your children, right? What are some things that you could do in terms of arriving early? What does arriving early look like in that particular situation? What does inspecting for change look like? And then actually going into whatever it is that you're doing. So I hope that makes sense for everybody. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to put it in the box. If you are interested in being a sponsor for the next live session, which will be next week, please also put that in the comments. What does a sponsor do? So the sponsor, there's no money involved with being a sponsor. What happens is, as the sponsor, you get the opportunity to spotlight your business. You get the opportunity to do a one-on-one in the live session to where you have the ability to answer these hard questions, right? And have a dialogue for people to see your personality, find out more about what you do, and you get a shout out in the beginning of the live session. And then you have a few minutes at the end of the presentation to go over the benefits and features of what it is that you do for the group to know who to refer to you. And for us members who might say, hey, you know what? I think I need that, right? I need to be on top of whatever they are promoting because I don't want to be in a situation where I feel like my cheese is moved. So, in addition, we also serve as marketing partners. So, it's just a couple times that you would market the event, that it is a live session, share it with your audience so that we can grow our networking group and give us the opportunity to continue to expand and our reach and meet more people. So that is all that I have for today. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. But I challenge you guys to really dive into those questions and thinking about how we can improve and be better versions of ourselves professionally and personally. You guys have a wonderful, amazing, amazing week. And stay on the lookout for when that live session will be. I will be posting that within the by the end of the week. So that session will be live through Eventbrite. So you can click on the link, register, get you a ticket, and attend, and be able to have the ability to answer any questions in that session. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Talk to you next time. Bye.